bloodstains, broken trust, and a storm brewing in the heart of Tulsa. Episode 6 of Tulsa King doesn't just raise the stakes. It burns the whole table down. Just when Dwight thought he had his empire under control, the ground starts slipping from under his feet. This episode is not about power, it's about survival. Episode 6 opens with an eerie silence that doesn't feel peaceful, it feels like the quiet before something terrible. Dwight walks through the dim streets of Tulsa at dawn, the camera following his slow, heavy steps. You can sense he's thinking about more than just business. His empire might be growing, but the cracks are showing, and he knows it. The deals he made in the shadows are now coming back to haunt him. After the bloody end of Episode 5, Dwight's crew is shaken, trust is thin, and loyalty feels like a dying word. Chickie's name keeps coming up. Rumors spread that he's making moves behind Dwight's back, possibly cutting new deals in New York. Dwight doesn't say much, but his silence says everything. He's tired, but not weak. He's watching. Meanwhile, Stacy Beale is back in play. Her involvement with Dwight has blurred the line between law and loyalty, and now she's paying for it. The feds are on her neck, and her job is hanging by a thread. Yet, when she hears about Dwight's recent troubles, she can't help but check in. Maybe it's guilt. Maybe it's something deeper. Either way, her decision will cost her more than she expects. In another part of town, Bodie tries to keep the business running. The weed shop is busier than ever, but his nerves are clearly shot. He's constantly looking over his shoulder, jumping at every sound. The tension isn't just in the streets, it's in every glance, every whispered word. Something's coming, and everyone feels it. Then comes a quiet dinner scene, Dwight sitting alone, eating steak with a glass of whiskey. No music, no dialogue, just the sound of the fork hitting the plate. This moment says it all. The once untouchable mob boss is alone, fighting ghosts from his past and the shadows of his present. He's lost men before, but this time, it feels different. This time, it's personal. As the episode builds, Tulsa feels heavier. The streets look darker, the faces harder. The city that once seemed like Dwight's playground now feels like his trap. And just when you think the tension can't rise any higher, it does. The first act ends with a mysterious phone call. Dwight answers, and we only hear a voice say, "You should have stayed in New York." The line cuts, and the screen fades to black. No answers, just questions. That's the power of Episode 6, it doesn't tell you what's happening. It makes you feel it. The storm finally breaks, and it doesn't come quietly. Episode 6 shifts gears from slow tension to raw chaos. The air in Tulsa feels heavier, and every scene seems to pulse with danger. Dwight can sense it. The betrayal, the lies, the trap being built around him, brick by brick. What began as small whispers behind closed doors now starts to echo loudly through his empire. And the worst part, the threat isn't just coming from the outside, it's growing from within. Early in this section, Dwight pays a visit to Mitch's bar. The place is quieter than usual, filled with a strange unease. Mitch tries to act normal, cleaning glasses, pretending the walls aren't closing in, but his eyes give him away. He knows something Dwight doesn't. When Dwight presses him, Mitch finally cracks, saying that a new player is making moves in Tulsa, someone who knows Dwight's every weakness. Dwight's expression turns stone. He doesn't need to ask who it is. He already knows. The betrayal becomes clearer when Dwight's crew starts falling apart. Tyson, the kid Dwight once treated like family, begins to question his loyalty. He's seen too much blood, too much fear, and too many close calls. His mother's warnings echo in his head. "He's not your father, Tyson. He's a gangster." That line plays over as he packs his things, ready to leave Tulsa behind. But fate doesn't give him the chance. On his way home, a black SUV tails him. The moment stretches the headlights too bright, the road too empty. The next second, gunfire shatters the silence. Tyson's car swerves, crashes, and the screen fades to black for a few seconds, leaving viewers in shock. Meanwhile, Dwight's instincts kick in. He knows this wasn't random. Tulsa's starting to feel like the streets of Brooklyn again, only this time, there's no code, no rules. He storms into Bodie's shop, demanding answers. Bodie's terrified, saying someone hacked their accounts, traced their operations, and leaked the locations of their stash houses. Dwight's anger is volcanic, but underneath it, there's fear. Someone's been watching them closely, and whoever it is, they're not playing small. Stacy, on the other hand, finds herself torn in half. Her badge tells her to bring Dwight down, but her heart tells her he's not the monster the system paints him to be. She starts connecting dots, the money trails, the fake accounts, the anonymous tips to law enforcement. The evidence points toward Chickie and his new crew in New York. It's not just a turf war. It's a silent execution. Chickies, setting Dwight up to be crushed by both the cops and his rivals. One of the most gripping scenes in this section is the quiet standoff between Dwight and Bodhi. No shouting. No fighting, just heavy words. Dwight asks, "If you knew you were being hunted, would you run or fight?" Bodhi hesitates, realizing Dwight's not talking about business anymore. He's talking about survival. Dwight finishes his whiskey, looks at Bodhi, and says, "Then we fight." It's the kind of line that defines a character, simple, strong. And final. The second half of the episode takes a darker turn. Dwight visits Tyson's crash site, his expression a mix of rage and heartbreak. For the first time, we see the cracks in his armor. He kneels beside the wreckage, running his hand over the broken glass. This isn't just business, it's family. And someone just crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. The pacing quickens as Dwight starts moving his pieces. He meets with Mitch again, this time with a plan. They talk about consolidating power, cutting off weak links, and preparing for war. But Dwight isn't the same man he was in Season 1. This isn't about expanding anymore. It's about burning everything that threatens him. The turning point of Episode 6 lands in the final minutes of this section. A mysterious envelope arrives at Dwight's house, no return address. Inside, there's a photo of him and Tyson from weeks ago, smiling in front of the shop. On the back, in red ink, are 3 words, "You're next, General." Dwight stares at it for a long time, his face frozen. Then, without a word, he lights a match and burns the photo. The flames dance in his eyes as the camera zooms in. And you realize something: the old Dwight, the one trying to build a new life in Tulsa, is gone. What's left is the mobster from New York, the man who doesn't forgive. And never forgets. Episode 6 doesn't just turn the story, it transforms Dwight completely. The calm, the loyalty, the patience, all of it is stripped away. What remains is fire, revenge, and a promise of chaos for whoever dared to come after him. And as the credits roll, the streets of Tulsa don't look like a place for rebuilding anymore. They look like a battlefield waiting for the first shot. Tulsa bleeds under the weight of silence. The city that once buzzed with life now feels haunted by fear, by betrayal, and by Dwight's quiet vengeance. Episode 6 reaches its emotional breaking point here, where every choice made in the shadows begins to show its cost in daylight. The fallout isn't loud, not yet. It creeps in like smoke after a fire, impossible to ignore but slow enough to make you suffocate before you realize you're choking. The morning after Tyson's crash, Dwight stands at the edge of the wreckage site. His face tells 1,000 stories, but none of them have happy endings. He's seen death before, but this one cuts deeper. Tyson was more than a driver or an errand boy. He was proof that Dwight could still guide someone without destroying them. But now that hope lies buried under twisted steel and shattered glass. The local cops arrive, pretending to care, asking questions Dwight has no patience for. When one of them calls it a gang-related hit, Dwight's jaw tightens. That word means nothing to him now. This wasn't gang business. This was personal. By midday, news spreads through Tulsa's underworld. Tyson's death sends a ripple through the ranks. Fear starts replacing loyalty. Bodhi can barely keep the shop running. Mitch's bar empties out. And Dwight's name becomes a whisper again, the kind people use when they're scared to be heard. Everyone's waiting for Dwight to make a move. They know he will. The question isn't if, it's when. But Dwight doesn't act right away. He plans, he watches, he waits. That's what makes him dangerous. He knows revenge is a dish that spoils if served too early. So he calls a meeting not with his men, but with the very people who fear him most. Business owners, street hustlers, and small-time enforcers fill Mitch's bar after dark. The room is heavy with tension. Dwight steps in, wearing black from head to toe, eyes cold, voice steady. He doesn't raise his tone once. He starts by laying out the truth: someone inside their circle is feeding information to the enemy. Then he does something unexpected. He gives everyone a chance to walk away. If you want out, leave now, he says. No shame in survival. A few do, slipping out quietly, their footsteps echoing in the hollow silence. Dwight lets them go. He knows the real snakes won't. When the doors close again, the rest of the room feels smaller, tighter, suffocating. Dwight leans on the counter, looks around, and adds, "What happens next stays between us."